welcome to the Year 3 Scratch tutorial. Now this tutorial will serve as an introduction to Scratch and can be used not only for Year 3s but anyone that needs to learn the basic skills of Scratch. So when we are using Scratch, we'll be using what is known as coding, which we have learned in a previous lesson. Coding is a list of step-by-step instructions that get computers to do what you want them to do. Okay, coding makes it possible for us to create a computer software, apps, games and websites, and coders or programmers are people who write the programs behind everything we see and do on a computer. So any games that you play, whether it be Fortnite or any other games that are popular at the moment, are all an accumulation of a lot of coding. So any buttons that you press or anything that you click, or every time a character is moving, there are a large number of codes, okay, that are making everything happen on the screen. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be creating our very own Scratch animation. So this is one that I've prepared earlier, okay, and I've provided a number of codes, okay, for this sprite, which is what the character here is known as a sprite, as well as this basketball. Okay, this backdrop here, okay, this spaceship is one of the many backdrops that are available on Scratch, which I will show you here. So this section here, this is where you will be able to choose, okay, your sprite and your background. So what I'd like you to do is we'll start a new one. By the end of today, you will have something very similar to this. So what I'd like you to do now is to go in and choose your very own sprite. So to do that, you find down the bottom right hand corner here where my mouse is pointing, you click choose a sprite. Now you can choose anything that you like, whether it be bread or a bear, okay, you might even choose Ben, the soccer player, okay, because you might play soccer. Okay, but for today what we're going to do is I'm going to be a bat. Okay, so I'm going to delete this cat sprite here. To do that, I press the X button on the top of the sprite. So that's where we can choose what sprite we are coding for. Okay. Second, what we'll do is we'll choose our background. So in the bottom right hand corner here, next to the sprites, is where we can choose our background. Okay, so clicking on the background here, you click on this picture down the bottom here, sorry, and you can choose a background of your choice. Okay, so by now you should have your sprite chosen. Okay, teachers, feel free to pause this video at any time to allow students to catch up to this video. Okay, so now what I will do is I'll choose my background. So I chose a spaceship before, but I'm going to choose something different for this one. So what I will do is I will choose a farm. Okay, I'm a bat and I'm at the farm. So I can move my sprite with my mouse all around the screen, okay, and place him or her or it wherever I like. Okay, so I'm going to place my sprite just here. Now when we are coding, as we learnt in the previous lesson, coding is the sequence of steps as a result of an action from either a key or a pressing or something else happening on the screen. So on these little tabs here is where we can choose a range of different codes. So let's start with the events. So the event is that first thing that happens to result in other things happening, okay, to put it in its most simple terms. So I'm going to start with this one, when the sprite is clicked. Okay, so that means that when I click on this sprite, or when the person playing this game clicks on the sprite, okay, something is going to happen, and you can choose from a lot of things that you'd like to happen. So you can play various sounds. Okay, so you can play the sound of an owl. Okay, apparently this is actually an owl. Sorry. So you can play the sound of an owl until done. So I'm going to click on the sprite now, and there you go. You can see the sound of the owl is being played. But I'm going to change it up. Okay, and I'm going to make it different. So instead of the sound, I'm going to choose this. It's going to say hello for 2 seconds. Perfect. 1, 2, and done. Now I can change that if I like. So I might say, hello, my name is Mr. Warren. Okay, for 2 seconds. So when I click on my sprite, hello, my name is Mr. Warren. And I can add to that too. So if I want to just say, if I would like to say more, I can place another one underneath. Okay, and I can say, what is your name? Oops, and a question mark. So let's have a look at that one. Perfect. Okay, so by now you should have your backdrop, your sprite, okay, and you should be starting to play with your when this sprite clicked button. Okay, so what we will do now is I will show you how to move the sprite around the screen. Okay, so let's go back to the events, and I can choose various keys. So looking at your arrows, and you will all be very familiar on your computers at home if you have them, you move around the screen with your characters using the arrows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the up arrow, okay, and I'm going to put in the code which is going to tell my sprite to move up. Okay, so the event is when the arrow is clicked, and the action or the motion is going to be, I'm going to press change Y. Change Y by 10, because down the bottom here you can see that X is across by this arrow here and Y is up. Okay, and 10 is the number of spaces it is going to move up. So as you can see, I've put change by 10. I'm going to continue to press the up arrow, and that's what happens. So I've gone up on the Y, 10 spaces. Okay, and you can change that by changing this number here. So I might press 50 spaces. Okay, and look how much it jumps then. So it's completely up to you of how much you'd like to, if you choose, okay, to use that action. Okay, so that is how you can move around, and you can change that too. So down arrow, you can do the same thing, or I could change it. So if I want it to go the other way, instead of going up 50, I can go down 50. So to do that, I will press the minus button, because I'm taking away 50 steps. Okay, so if I press the down arrow, it will now go down. Okay, and the same goes for left and right. So if I say when the right arrow is pressed, okay, lost it. There we go. I can change X by 10. Okay, and I can go that way. So I'll move him back and I'll show you again. Pressing the right arrow, I can move him by 10. Another thing to note as well is that you can click on the sprite, or on the code, sorry, before having to actually do it on the screen or on your keypad, and it can preview the action. Okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, so you can also draw your own sprite. So when you go down to choose a sprite, okay, you can either choose to have one that is already made for you, or you can paint your own. So when you press paint, okay, just like you may see on the iPads or the computer at home, okay, you can paint and draw your own sprite. Okay, so if I was to draw my face, okay, it's got eyes, okay, a nose, a mouth, okay, and a really wonky hat. Okay, but that's just a rough drawing. If you were to do it, I'm sure you'd put a lot more time and effort into it. Okay, and as you can see, that looks a bit too big. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size. So if I go down here where it says 100, okay, I might want to change that to 50 because using my maths knowledge, I know that 50 is half of 100 and I want it to be about half the size. So I type in 50, I'll press enter, and there you go. Okay, and that will now act just like any other sprite, just like the bat. Okay, I can go to my coding section when the sprite is highlighted down here, and I can put any codes that I'd like. So that's something very, very, very cool that can make it more personal, which means more of what you would like. Okay, for your Scratch digital product. Okay, so another thing that will be important for when you are doing your assessment is that you will need to put in other sprites, because a little clue is that you will need to show us a lot of things that you are interested in. Okay, so if I would like to look at, say, up here, there's a bunch of headings which will show you various or a lot of different sprites that you can use. So I like my sport, okay, and I've played a little bit of basketball, so I'm going to put in a basketball, okay, and I can now put different codes in for that basketball, okay, so just like here with the bat, but for the basketball. So I'll need to have this basketball sprite little preview here highlighted. So you can see when the bat is being coded, that is blue, and when the basketball is being coded, that is blue as well. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for the basketball. So when the sprite is clicked, okay, it is going to say, I love basketball. Okay, I love basketball. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for listening to the Year 3 Scratch tutorial. For the remainder of the lesson, Year 3s, you will now have the chance to play around with your sprite and your background or anything else that you can discover to include in your digital product. Okay, if you have any other questions, please let the teacher or myself know, okay, whoever it may be, and we will come and help you. But until then, thank you very much and enjoy.